my pretties, it's the Queen of Lions here. Now, you guys may notice why my mic quality is a bit different. And the reason why for that is because my mom is asleep as well as my brother. And it is quiet in the house where I'm at now. So I thought, I decided maybe take a break from using my headset to record something for this video. In this video, I'm going to be explaining about this certain TV show called The Berenstain Bears. But it's also a book series that has been going on for a long time, ever since the 1960s and all that. So, now, most of you guys should know who the Berenstain Bears are. They are a family of anthropomorphic grizzly bears who basically live together in a family. They learn moral and or safety related lessons in the course of each story. And it's a very good book series for kids to get into. Now, to me personally, before I get on with the history of, how the Berenstain Bears started, what started off the whole Berenstain Bears series is Stan and Jan Berenstain, also known as Stanley Melvin Berenstain and Janice Marion Berenstain. They were the ones who started writing the Berenstain Bears books. The very first debut of the first Berenstain Bears book was The Big Honey Hunt. And although that was I think distributed by Dr. Seuss or something, because or co-founded or something like that. I don't even remember. Now, that book was released in 1962, and I don't remember if my mom kind of grew up with the books as a kid. Maybe she might have, but I don't really know. I could ask her, but she probably might not remember because she grew up with Dr. Seuss. Now, I'm not going to get too much into the series of the Berenstain Bears television series because I plan to eventually do that probably sometime in the Shadows and Pretties episode in the future. I know I only talked about the Halloween one, but that was a Halloween special episode. But I will be making a Shadows and Pretties episode regarding the Berenstain Bears series of its own self. Now, I'm going to summarize the history of it. And ever since Stan and Jan Berenstain died, their son, Michael Berenstain, or Mike Berenstain, continues to write stories of the Berenstain Bears to this day. And yes, he is still writing them to this day, which I think it's pretty amazing, to be completely honest. So, I guess with that being said, let me go on with the whole history. So, it started somehow. What happened is it started with Stan and Jan Berenstain both met in 1941 on their first drawing class in the Philadelphia Museum School of Industrial Art, where they formed an immediate bond. They get separated during the World War II event, which led Stan to work for the Army as a medical illustrator, and Janice worked as a revitator. Now, they were reunited and married in 1946. While they were working as teachers, the Berenstains pursued a joint career in cartooning and gradually found its success working together on illustrations, humorous sketches and cover art, and publications including the Saturday Review of Lecture. Now, in 1951, they published a Berenstain Bears or Berenstain Baby book, a humorous on how aimed at adults based on their experiences on raising their first infant son Leo in downtown Philadelphia. Nearly 24 other books followed, as described by Stan as cartoon essays. The titles included, Marshall Blitz, How to Teach Your Child About, Sex Without Making a Complete Fool of Yourself, and Have a Baby, My Wife Just Had a Cigar, and etc. However, in the early 1960s, the Berenstains thought of their field, writing for young children. As their first children's book, they decided to cast the main characters, primarily because the animal held widespread could be drawn out easily. Stan also observed the female bears are terrifying good mothers, while the males are lousy fathers. But they decided to deny that and had nothing to do with the exception. However, though, sometime they started writing the Berenstain Bears books, which, of course, started sometime after the Big Honey Hunt first book that came out in 1962. Now, when the Berenstain Bears was being made in a book series, Mama Bear wore a blue dress with white polka dots, while Sister has pink polka dots. So they started writing stories for all around for kids, and it was going pretty well. Now Stan's death was sometime in 2005 due to lymphoma, which is a disease. While Mike collaborated with his mother on writing illustration Berenstain Bears installments, which Leo hadn't been involved in the business aside the franchise. Unfortunately, while Jan Berenstain died in February of 2012 following a stroke. So Mike today is still writing the Berenstain Bears series as of now. So now you know a bit of the history behind, Stan and Jan Berenstain. I mean, I'm going to sit here and say this when I say this now. The characters of the Berenstain Bears, I'm going to be explaining who they are in case if you guys have not seen the show or read the books in a long time, or probably just most likely want a refresher or have not ever seen it before in their life. Let me give out a little bit of information. It's basically a family of bears who live in a big tree house down a sunny dirt road in a place called Bear Country. Papa Bear is a bumbling carpenter, which he works on furniture, while Mama Bear is a housewife and a processionist of their children. So Brother Bear was originally Small Bear until Sister Bear comes along, and Honey Bear. Now, Honey Bear was never in the TV series, not even the 2003 series or even the series that came out in the 80s. I don't know why Honey Bear was never in those. Maybe they just didn't even think of adding them in there. But if they ever do another Berenstain Bears cartoon, I really do hope they add Honey Bear in it, because that would be epic. I would like to see maybe a Berenstain Bears new series, as long as the animation's good. That's all I really hope for, is if the animation's good and they make a new series of it. I like to see Mama Bear having, have Baby Honey in the series. I don't know why Baby Honey was not in the other series that I mentioned earlier. Maybe I guess Honey came along later in the books, but probably just didn't have time to add her into it, because she's like the littlest sister out of all of them. Of course, she features in a story which, of course, was announced early in 2000 in the Birds, the Bees, and the Berenstain Bears book, along with the reader contest to name the new bear. Her birth was featured later that year in the Berenstain Bears and the Baby Makes Five. So stories about the bears usually follow basic formula described by the Berenstains. Papa sets out to instruct certain characters for what to do, and etc. So, I mean, the kind of infinite issues that confronted by the Berenstain Bears over the 50 years, which may include such as bullying, messiness, poor sportsmanship, visiting the dentist, online safety, and etc. The Berenstain Bears often drew inspiration from their family experiences, which Stan credited the series continue their relevance. The kids still tell fibs, they mess up their rooms, and they throw tantrums in the supermarket. No one gets shot, no violence or anything like that. Now, there is a lot of books of the Berenstain Bears, and I mean, most of them were written by Stan and Jan Berenstain, the first one being The Honey Hunt. And eventually, the Berenstain Bears series started getting more and more popular. Most of them were being released by Random House. And then other places started, well, actually, other companies started adapting them. And now I'm going to say right now is that ever since Mike Berenstain took over writing the series for the Berenstain Bears, he has written more and more of the storybooks. Now, I've never really read any of the newer books because I've always liked the ones that Stan and Jan Berenstain did. Like, I grew up reading the Berenstain Bears books as a kid. Like, when I was in elementary school, I used to go into the library maybe once or twice a week, and I would get at least a few books on the Berenstain Bears, because that was one of the series I grew up with. Besides the Franklin book series, Clifford, the Big Red Dog book series, and other children's books that have been, published by, certain authors and alike. The Berenstain Bears was one of my all-time favorites. And I mean, I used to, borrow a bunch of Berenstain Bears books as a kid. I used to read them constantly. Well, I mean, my parents used to read them to me before bed. A teacher would read a few of those to me. It was pretty fun, actually, to actually know that I grew up watching this show, the Berenstain Bears as a kid, as well as reading some books. When I was reading the Berenstain Bears as a kid, I always loved how, detailed they were actually compared to, the 1980s TV series as well as the 2003 animated series that was made basically about 18, 19 years ago. So, basically, I know there was some criticism regarding, the Berenstain Bears, series, but eventually it's a pretty good series for what this really is. So, there are some Berenstain Bears, television movies that were made in the, one was made in 1979, and then one was made in 1980, and then one was made in 1981, and etc. So, there was one Berenstain Bears series movie called The Berenstain Bears Christmas Tree. That one I remember that episode, well, not episode, but TV special pretty well. I also remember the Meet Big Paw, which is a Thanksgiving television special, as well as the Easter surprise. And here's a fun fact about the Easter surprise one. Now, the Easter surprise one is that that's the first appearance of Sister Bear. Now, when I do a review, Shadows and Praise episode on that series, on that episode or something, if I ever get to it, I'll probably explain more there. There's also the comic Valentine's Day special that was sometime around the corner, like shortly after that. Of course, there is the Berenstain Bears, series that came out in the 80s from 1985 to 1987. It's the animated series called The Berenstain Bears Show, which, I mean, I watched that one as a kid. It was an 80s show, but I used to have a VHS tape on it. I think it was called The Truth. So, yeah, that was one VHS tape I remember. And I also think I still had the Messy Room VHS tape. I think if I could recall, that could be maybe one of them I also owned. Although I don't remember because it's been years, though, since I've actually last saw it. I mean, I don't remember. There is a second TV series called The Berenstain Bears that was debuted on PBS in 2003. The series was produced by the Canadian company called Nelvana. Nelvana, you probably know who that is. They're the same they're the same company that also, I think, produced Little Bear and a couple of others. So, of course, consists of 30-minute episodes adapted from the books, as well as a few new stories as well. So, it's kind of similar to the 1985 production. However, the series are considered separate adaptations and they were never aired together. Although the 2003 series is not a remake but a continuation of the episodes, Some character personalities changed while other characters no longer appeared. However, new characters did appear, such as the original specials and TV shows. But due to Canadian laws requiring Nelvana to employ only Canadian writers and artists, the Berenstain's involvement program was limited. So now, of course, something really surprising when it came to this this particular something I did notice. Now, in 2011, 20 episodes of the Nevada series was dubbed in the Native American Lakota language and began airing on public television in North and South Dakota. Titled Marfo, I can't really say that. I can't really say the language because I don't know it. Basically, it's the passionate bear family. That tradition's a series with the collaboration of, the bear, with Mike Berenstain and Navala waiving the unlicensed fees for the nature. So the Berenstain Bears is the first animated series to be translated into a Native American language in the U.S., which I think that's pretty interesting, that I never actually knew about it till now. So there are a couple of computer games based on, this. And I mean, if you were a kid around the time when they were being made and popular, you most likely would have remembered playing them as a kid. I think I remember playing at least a few of them as a kid, although I don't remember. Because I haven't really played any computer games too much as, in a couple years. Because I must have been a lot younger when I was playing those. So I really don't remember much. So also, I would have to say there is a museum exhibit which called the Berenstain Bears Celebrate the Art of Stan and Jan Berenstain. It was somewhere around James A. Missioner Art Museum, where the Berenstain homes of Bucks County in Pennsylvania, organized by Norman Rockwell Museum, and timed with the dead concealed with the release of the Berenstain Bears memento or something like that. Now, this is actually a pretty good concept for the Berenstain Bears, as well as there is a stage show of off-Broadway musical, The Berenstain Bears Live Family Matters. Of course, it was debuted sometime in 2011 in June, and of course in New York City after being toured the country, at least earlier version. So, with that being said, is a feature film or something like that, saying that, there is a planned Berenstain Bears feature film adaptation, was announced in 2009. However, though, the project would be both in live action and computer animated elements, with the original storyline that details several Berenstain books. I mean, I don't even know if that would ever come out or something, but yet again, I really don't know. That would be kind of cool if we get, a new Berenstain Bears movie, because I know it's been quite a few years since we last had one. But we also do know that the Berenstain Bears became spokesbearers of prevent of child mistreatment in America and etc. I mean, I can't really go too much into detail of, what has happened in certain places, because I honestly don't remember, because it's been quite a little while since I last, it's been a long time since I've looked into this. Now, Berenstain Bears have been included in such as clothing, Happy Meal boxes like McDonald's toys, cereal, chocolate, crackers, greeting cards, puzzles, and a lot of other stuff. But many people incorrectly remember the names of the series as the Berenstain Bears, in confusion where it has an E before or an A, which of course that's basically been the confusion for a lot of people. So yeah, I mean, that's just when I think about this series, I honestly fell in love with this when I was a kid. I honestly really loved the book series as a kid. I loved the movie as a kid too. So yeah, I would have to say it's pretty good. for what this is. I really do like it. It's a pretty good series. I recommend if you were a kid, then you probably remember this. So, with that being the case, and with that being said, I'm gonna sit here and basically state this right now that this is my opinion on the Berenstain Bears. I will be talking about the 1985 series as well as the 2003 series in a Shadows and Pretties episode, but I don't know when that will be though. So I'm not going to say, yes, it's going to happen on this day, or no, it's not going to happen on that day. I don't know when I'll get the time to talk about it in the Shadows and Pretties episode, but I will eventually do so. So that is something to state right now in case if you guys are all wondering. So, feel free to leave me what your thoughts are on the Berenstain Bears in the comments below. I like to hear what your thoughts and opinions are on the book series, TV series. If you like any of those, feel free to let me know in the comments below. And if you don't like any of the Berenstain Bears stuff, feel free to, let me know what you think of it, what could be better or something like that. Anyways, what did you guys think? You all enjoyed this series? Did you all not? Also, what you have done personally to help make the Berenstain Bears a lot better? Feel free to let me know what your thoughts are down in the comments below. I'm the Queen of Lions. Thank you so much for watching today's episode. And if you're new to this channel, be sure to leave a like, comment, and subscribe. Ring the bell for notifications to when I upload, so that way you will not miss an upload. And as always, I'll see you all in the next video and roll the outro because I'm out.